Welcome students. So I hope you all people have already appeared for the test that we are discussing here. Okay, so we are discussing the uh, answer for the test or the approach for the test that the test was conducted on last Sunday. Okay, so let's discuss the different questions that which are appeared for the 10 marker question, 15 marker questions, and I am going to discuss what kind of a introduction was expected out of that, what kind of a conclusion was expected, and what kind of a points were expected, and how to arrange all this. Okay, so I actually I understand that you already have the knowledge. Okay, so you appeared for the test, you are already attending the classes, you already had the notes and everything. So I expect that you already have that all that knowledge that is required to write an answer. But the thing is, only knowledge is not giving the marks. Okay, that we all know. Only knowledge is not giving the marks. You might have attended our Samarpan lectures also. There also you have understood that only knowledge is not that much is required. So what you need a better presentation. You need better value addition. You need better introduction, conclusion, examples, and all these things. Okay, and the most important thing, you need to write on the demand of the question. So many students, what they do, when they read the question, whatever they know, they write it. But you don't have to do like that. You have to write the things which are asked in the question, and that is the most important thing that we are going or we are discussing today. So let's start with the first question. Okay, at the start we are taking the 10 marker question. After that we will take the 15 marker question. Around 13 questions are there that we are going to discuss here in our discussion. Okay, so this I know that the test also included the questions from the IR also, international relations, but IR related discussions will be taken separately. We are only here discussing the polity questions, okay, which were there in the paper. Around 13 questions were there. So let's discuss about these polity questions here. The first question that was in your test was, it was related to what is the difference between the parliamentary system and the presidential system. See, the question was very simple. It was related to the difference between parliamentary system and the presidential system. So we know, okay, that India has a parliamentary system, but there is a presidential system also. And where we observe that presidential system, we observe that presidential system most effectively in USA. Okay, so here the question is about difference. So you just have to write down the difference between both the system. Don't explain what is parliamentary system. Don't explain what is presidential system. That explanation was not at all required in the answer. Okay, what was required in the answer? Only the difference between the two. So many people, what they do when they start writing the answer, they explain what they know. So many students write what is parliamentary system, write all about it. So many students write presidential system, then write about it. That is not expected. What was expected? The difference. So you will start your answer with writing the introduction. So introduction, you can write that India has a parliamentary system, and the system we have taken from the England, which is called as the Westminster model. Westminster model of governance, and that is a parliamentary system that India has adopted. So you can write down the introduction like that. See, there is no one way to write the introduction, and there is no one way to write the conclusion. There can be multiple ways of that. Okay, so I am telling you is one of the way that you mentioned the Westminster system that we have taken from the Britain, and that is a parliamentary system that we follow. Some students may write that the system of parliament in India started with the Government of India Act 1919, the bicameral legislation having the two houses of the parliament. So you can write like that also. It depends, like different types of introduction you can write. But I think the Westminster model will be the best suited introduction because we are particularly talking about the parliamentary system. We have taken it from the England. Okay, so now the next heading will be, so after the introduction there will be heading. You have to make the heading. So what heading you are making? You are writing the difference between पार्लियामेंट्री सिस्टम एंड द प्रेसिडेंशियल सिस्टम, क्या फर्क होता है. सो हेडिंग का जो भी तुम्हारा बनाने का तरीका होगा वो किस तरह से होना चाहिए कि व्हाट आर द वर्ड्स व्हिच आर गिवन इन द क्वेश्चन, आई विल यूज द सेम वर्ड्स. अगर सेम क्वेश्चन में दिए हुए वर्ड से अगर हेडिंग में यूज किए सो एग्जामिनर को लगता है कि द आंसर इज अकॉर्डिंग टू डिमांड ऑफ द क्वेश्चन, एंड दैट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू नो. So you will make the heading here, difference between parliamentary system and the presidential system, just a simple heading. You don't have to be innovative about the heading. Anyway, headings, keep it very simple, one liner heading. Okay, introduction was around just 3 to 4 lines. Same conclusion is also about 3 to 4 lines. Okay, and here the heading will be about one line. The points will be maximum about 2 lines. That's important to know. Now you wrote the heading, okay, difference between the parliamentary system and the presidential system. After that, you will write the points, and what points you will write? You will write the differences. And what are the different differences that you are going to write here? Understand, okay? So you will write about the power of president. That will be one of the difference, president power. So here you are making a subheading here. Okay, make subheadings. See, there is one way you write the difference. You just put a line in the middle, and then you are writing parliamentary system, presidential system, 1, 2, 3, 4. In that way also you can write. But see, you are writing the difference for complete 10 marks. So for 2 pages, keeping the line in the middle and then writing the points. Better than that, make subheadings. And then write presidential power, then write first point for the parliamentary system. That in the parliamentary system, president is a nominal authority. Then write in the presidential system. In the presidential system, president has a actual authority. He is not a nominal person. Then second heading, the power of prime minister. Parliamentary system, prime minister is the most powerful person. And in the presidential system, president is the most powerful. There is no position called a prime minister. So that way you have to write. Then the third point, you will write the responsibility of executives to legislature. That will be your heading. Then first point you will explain here. In the parliamentary system, the executive has to be responsible to the legislature. Then second point, in the presidential system, the executives are not responsible to the legislatures, right? Then fourth point, separation between legislature and executive. You will make the points here. Then you will write the point. First point, in the parliamentary system, there is no complete total separation between the executives and the legislature. The legislatures are part of executives. Sorry, executives are part of legislature. In the presidential system, you will write the second point here, that there is a complete and the strict separation between the executives and the legislature. So in this way, you have to write the subheadings and you have to write the points here. That is most effective way of writing the difference between parliamentary system and the presidential system. And at the end, see, I have told you 4, you can write 5, 6 points also. Then at the end, you will write the conclusion and you will write, despite the fact that presidential system has a stability, parliamentary system, constitutional forefather adopted the parliamentary system for its accountability towards the people. Okay, so that conclusion you can write and you can just finish your answer. See, there are multiple ways conclusion you can write. I am not telling that this is the only conclusion you should write. You can write any other conclusion also. Don't worry about that. Okay, ऐसा नहीं है कि जितना मैंने कहा है अगर वही पॉइंट्स, जैसे मैंने यहाँ पे 4 पॉइंट्स में डिक्टेट किया, अगर ये नहीं होंगे तो मार्क्स नहीं मिलेंगे. इट्स नॉट दैट. ओके, आई टोल्ड यू 4, यू हैव टू राइट अराउंड 6 पॉइंट्स. तो डजंट मैटर वेदर जो मैंने पॉइंट्स कहे वही लिखो, उसी तरह से लिखो, बट द थिंग इज यू शुड बी क्लियरली एबल टू राइट द पॉइंट्स. अच्छा, ये डिफरेंस है. Examiner, when they will check the paper, when we will check the paper, we should understand that yes, this person understood the question and this person is actually able to write what is asked in the question. Okay, that was regarded to difference between the parliamentary system and the presidential system. Then the next question, what is Indian constitution is called? Why is Indian constitution is called as the blend of rigidity and the flexibility? We already know in the features of Indian constitution chapter, we know that Indian constitution is called as the blend of rigidity and the flexibility. So why it is called as? So in the introduction, you can just write about the article. We know article 368 of the Indian constitution, which is about the amendment of Indian constitution, and which we have taken it from the constitution of South Africa. We know, like in the features of Indian constitution, you might have seen that Indian constitution is borrowed from the constitution of the different countries. And there we have seen that the South African constitution, from that constitution we have taken this amendment wala provision. Okay, so the question is why it is called as the blend of rigidity and flexibility. चलो देखते हैं क्यों कहा जाता है इसे rigidity और flexibility का blend. So you have to write the introduction as we have already discussed. Then you will write the heading. Heading बनाना जरूरी है. ध्यान रखो, कई सारे स्टूडेंट्स में जब पेपर चेक करता हूं तो मुझे पता चलता है कि कई सारे स्टूडेंट हेडिंग्स बनाते ही नहीं है और सीधा ही राइट करना शुरू कर देते हैं. अगर तुम सीधा लिखोगे तो एग्जामिनर को पता कैसे चलेगा कि तुम क्या लिख रहे हो. तो इट इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू मेक हेडिंग्स. एग्जामिनर का काम मत बढ़ाओ, उसका काम कम करो. हेडिंग बना के उसे क्लियर आइडिया दे दो कि अच्छा इससे रिलेटेड पॉइंट्स में लिख रहा हूं, you will get better marks. So make heading. So what is the heading here? Indian Constitution has a blend of rigidity and the flexibility because. Then write the points. 1 2 3 4 जो भी पॉइंट्स है अपना लिखना शुरू कर दो. Okay, we know what are the reasons for that. कि rigidity क्यों है? Why it is called the blend of rigidity? Because there is a difficulty in amendment of the constitution. Okay, the two majority, special majority is required for the amendment of the constitution under article 368. If there are the provision amendment with respect to the provision of federal structure, like for example, if you want to change anything with respect to the distribution of a power between central and state government, if you want to change anything with respect to the 7th schedule, so in that case you need the permission of half of the states also. Okay, despite the fact that parliament has already given the permission with the special majority. So that makes Indian constitution makes the amendment of the constitution very difficult. Along with that, we know there is a basic structure. 1973 Keshwanand Bharati judgment. There Keshwanand Bharati judgment also talks about the basic structure. So it makes the amendment of the constitution procedure again more difficult, and that leads to more rigidity. But despite being in rigidity, Indian constitution is also considered flexible because so many provisions in the Indian constitution are amended indirectly by just passing of the law or the changing of the law. For example, if I want to make changes with respect to election procedure, I don't have to use this article 368 wala special majority wala provision. That is not required. I can just change representation of people act in the parliament and I have made changes with respect to the election. That is flexibility, right? If I want to change anything with respect to 5th schedule and 6th schedule, I just have to pass the law in the parliament and the things will be changed. If I want to change anything with respect to the citizenship, I just need to make a change into the Citizenship Amendment Act and I have made the change. If I want to create a new state by bifurcating another state, I just have to pass a law in the parliament and the things will be changed. So there are so many provisions in the constitution that can be affected or that can be changed indirectly by just passing of the law in the parliament, and that is why we called as a flexibility, and we ensured both rigidity and the flexibility. The USA constitution is completely rigid and UK constitution is completely flexible. We want the important provisions to be rigid and some normal provisions to be flexible. Okay, so that points you have to write in this question along with example. Examples are important here. Okay, so in the conclusion you will write. Okay, so what you can write in the here, that we adopted the blend because rigidity ensures the security of the most important provisions and flexibility ensures the ability or the power to the legislature to make the changes as per the required without being problematic or without being rigid. That you can write in the conclusion. Okay, not a difficult task. It was a very, very simple task. Okay, so introduction, points, conclusion. Okay, and there you have already discussed about the blend of rigidity and the flexibility in the main part. Okay, not that difficult. It was very, very easy. All the questions has been kept easy. Okay, हमें पता है कि स्टूडेंट्स अभी इवॉल्व हो रहे हैं, धीरे धीरे आंसर राइटिंग सीख रहे हैं. दैट इज द रीजन व्हाई द क्वेश्चंस हैज बीन केप्ट वेरी वेरी इजी. बस तुम्हें उस चीज का नॉलेज चाहिए, बट नॉलेज के साथ ये भी पता होना चाहिए कि भाई लिखना क्या है, किस तरह से लिखना है. एक बार ये पता चल जाए देन एवरीथिंग इज जस्ट वेरी वेरी सिंपल. देन नेक्स्ट, व्हाट आर द चैलेंजेस फेस्ड बाय parliamentary committees in their effective functionings? We have already seen the challenges when we have discussed this parliamentary committee chapter. Okay, उस chapter में हमने देखे हैं. At the end of the chapter, we have discussed the different challenges which are faced by the parliamentary committees, and after that, we have given the solutions how to deal with all these challenges. So those points are asked here. Though this question is actually analytical one, but the points with respect to these questions has already been provided to you in your notes. बस notes को पढ़ना था. जिन्होंने notes को पढ़ा था, it was easy for them. जिन्होंने notes को नहीं पढ़ा, it was difficult for them. Okay, so here you have to write the challenges, but you will write the introduction here. Okay, you will write any introduction you can make. So there is nothing fixed like यही लिखना है. Okay, you can make the introduction like here. For example, there are two types of committees: parliamentary committees, standing committees, and ad hoc committees. Right? Standing committees are permanent one, and ad hoc committees are temporary one. That also you can write. You can write that there are different types of parliamentary committees in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, and most of the committee chairmen are appointed by the speakers. ऐसे कोई भी एक normal introduction तुम्हें देना है, you can write the introduction, or you can write that in the part 6 of Indian Constitution, the provisions with respect to the parliament and the parliamentary committees has been made. ये भी introduction हो सकता था. So the multiple ways were there to write the introduction. After writing the introduction, you will write directly the challenges which are faced by the parliamentary committee in their effective functioning. But remember, whenever you are writing challenges in any answer, it is expected to write the solution also. Okay, जब challenges लिख रहे हो तो solutions भी लिख दो. एक 6 challenges, एक around 6 challenges you can write, around 4 solutions you can write. Out of this solution, एक दो सॉल्यूशंस निकाल के उसे कंक्लूजन में डाल दो. कितने सारे कंक्लूजन हमने सॉल्यूशंस हमने देखे. 4 सॉल्यूशंस यहाँ पे लिखे जा सकते हैं, एक दो सॉल्यूशंस कंक्लूजन में लिख दो और आंसर खत्म करो. ज्यादा मुश्किल बात तो थी नहीं. So what are the challenges faced by the parliamentary committees in their effective functioning? So now write about the challenges after making the heading challenges faced by the parliamentary committees. हमें पता है multiple challenges है. Like for example, their recommendations are advisory in nature. They are not taken in a serious manner, not properly implemented. That is also the challenges. We know that the members are absent there. They are not attending the committees. That is also the problems there, and there is no punishment or reward to do that. That is also the challenge we know. We know there is a high politicization of the parliamentary committee meetings because the members are the politicians there. So there is high politicization. We know they lacks the economical and the technological resources to work in an effective manner. That is also the challenge the parliamentary committees are facing. Okay, we know that the tenure of the members is just 1 year, and that is not sufficient to understand the actual work of the parliamentary committees. That is also the problem. Okay, so we know that the members are not that the expertise of the members are not taken into the consideration while making them the member of that particular committee. So there are multiple challenges why these committees are not working in an effective manner. Okay, so write down those challenges and after that write down the solutions. Okay, solutions तो लिखना पड़ेगा. You can write any 3-4 solutions. क्या solutions उसमें लिखे जा सकते हैं? That provide them technological and the human resource required, that expertise required whenever there is required. Okay, the government should provide action taking reports on the recommendations of the parliamentary committees. Action taking reports government देगा तो बढ़िया होगा. It should be made compulsory to discuss the reports which are submitted by parliamentary committees. Best, the members should be punished or rewarded for their performance in the parliamentary committees. इस तरह के सजेशंस लिखे जा सकते हैं और एक दो सजेशंस तुम कंक्लूजन में लिख दो. कंक्लूजन में तुम सीधा लिख सकते हो as the vice president of India. Remember in our lecture I have told you this point also with respect to the vice president, former vice president Venkaiah Naidu. The former vice president Venkaiah Naidu has suggested that the minimum tenure for the member should be around minimum 2 years, and the qualification of the member should be taken into the consideration while making him a member of any committee. And this recommendation has been given by whom? The former vice president Venkaiah Naidu. And you can use the name of Venkaiah Naidu, the vice president Venkaiah Naidu also. Okay, he is not like, we are not writing the name of any politician. We are writing the name of a constitutional authority called vice president. So that name you can write here. If you make such introduction, such conclusion, and the challenge is some solution, complete demand of the question is fulfilled and you will get the good marks here. Okay, now let's continue for next question. So what is the next question here? Discuss the preamble of constitution. Preamble, features of the preamble of constitution. बस features लिखने हैं, that's it. You just have to write the features. बस multiple features से ये पता होने चाहिए. Okay, लिखते आने चाहिए. So what are the features? First you will write the introduction here. Okay, क्या introduction लिख सकते हैं हम features of the preamble of Indian Constitution में? We can write that Jawaharlal Nehru in the Constitution Assembly has presented objective resolution objective resolution. Jawaharlal Nehru has presented this objective resolution in the Constitution Assembly, and this objective resolution was accepted as a preamble of Constitution. Okay, ये भी introduction लिया जा सकता है, कितना simple है. Okay, then you can write the features of preamble of Indian Constitution. यही heading रहेगी तुम्हारी, features of preamble of Indian Constitution. Then you will write the points below that. Okay, क्या क्या features है? That the preamble starts with the we the people. It starts with we the people. Okay, that is also the features, and that shows the sovereignty of citizens of India. The citizens are sovereign. It reflects the democracy because it starts with the people. One of the features is that we have taken in this concept of having the preamble from the Constitution of USA. That also you can write. This is also the features. You can write that the preamble of Indian Constitution also shows the form of state. State का कौन सा किस तरह का state होगा? So we know what is the form of state in the preamble, that it will be sovereign, it will be secular, it will be socialist, it will be democratic, it will be republic. ये दिया है ना preamble में, और यही लिखना है कि this shows the form of the state as sovereign, social, secular वगैरह जो है, socialist, secular, democratic and republic, यही लिखना है वहां पे. Then it also talks about the objectives of the state, and what are the different objectives has been given in the preamble. Objectives of the state: justice, liberty, equality, fraternity. These are the objectives which are given in the preamble. Okay, so वही हमें लिखना है यहाँ पे. Then you will write, it has also given the date of acceptance of the Constitution, and we know what is the date which is given. That is 26th November 1949 is the date of acceptance of the Constitution has been given in the preamble. That is also the feature. You can write that in the Keshwananda Bharati judgment 1973, it is said that preamble is also the part of Constitution. Okay, and the use of Article 368 is required for its amendment. ये हम देख चुके हैं, ये भी features लिखा जा सकता है. Then you can write the feature that 42nd constitutional amendment has added secular, socialist and integrity word into the Indian preamble Constitution, preamble of Indian Constitution. Simple. ओके इतने सारे फीचर्स बताया, 7 फीचर्स तो मैंने ही बता दिया, लिखने ही थे 5-6 लिखने थे, बस उसको अच्छे से लिखना था, उसे एक्सप्लेन करना था. देन सीधा कंक्लूजन लिख देते. एज पर द सुप्रीम कोर्ट जजमेंट, इंडियन प्रियम्बल ओके कैन बी अ सोर्स टू अंडरस्टैंड एनी पर्टिकुलर प्रोविजंस फ्रॉम द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. तो प्रियम्बल का यूज लिया जा सकता है अगर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन की कोई चीज समझनी हो तो. और यू कैन राइट दैट मल्टीपल थिंकर्स हैज बीन टोल्ड or political experts has been told that preamble works as a soul of constitution or it is considered as the mirror of constitution. इस तरह का भी लिखा जा सकता है, बट थोड़ा सुप्रीम कोर्ट का नाम आ जाता है कंक्लूजन में तो थोड़ा कंक्लूजन बढ़िया लगने लगता है, एग्जामिनर थोड़ा सा ज्यादा मार्क देता है. ओके, सो अंडरस्टूड. सो यहाँ पे हमें फीचर्स ही लिखने थे और वी हैव रिटन डाउन द फीचर्स. वेरी सिंपल था. ओके, ज्यादा डिफिकल्ट था भी नहीं, यहाँ पे सिंपल सिंपल चीजें है. चलो नेक्स्ट, What are the legislative powers of the parliament? क्या सिंपल क्वेश्चन था. सारे पार्लियामेंट के लेजिस्लेटिव पावर्स लिखने दे कि लॉ मेकिंग से रिलेटेड क्या पावर्स है पार्लियामेंट के पास, और इससे क्या ही सिंपल क्वेश्चन निकलना था. तुम्हें जो भी पता था पार्लियामेंट के लॉ मेकिंग पावर से रिलेटेड, यू जस्ट हैव टू राइट द पॉइंट्स. ओके, सो यू कैन से दैट इंट्रोडक्शन पहले लिखना पड़ेगा. इंट्रोडक्शन में तुम सीधा सीधा लिख सकते हो, या तो तुम लिख दोगे पार्ट 5 ऑफ द इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन टॉक्स अबाउट लेजिस्लेटिव पावर्स ऑफ द पार्लियामेंट. सिंपल ये भी लिखा जा सकता है. और यू विल एबल टू राइट दैट लेजिस्लेचर्स आर द पार्ट ऑफ 3 और वन ऑफ द पार्ट ऑफ 3 ऑर्गन्स ऑफ द स्टेट, executive, legislatures and the judiciary. Okay, and that is why they play very very important role in the democracy. So what are the legislative powers of the parliament? हेडिंग बनाओगे पहले लेजिस्लेटिव पावर्स ऑफ द पार्लियामेंट, फिर 1 2 3 4 करके ये पावर्स लिखी जाएंगी. यू कैन इवन गिव द हेडिंग्स इफ यू रिक्वायर्ड, सॉरी यू कैन राइट द एग्जांपल्स इफ इट इज पॉसिबल फॉर यू. चलो यहाँ पे पहला पॉइंट क्या आएगा लेजिस्लेटिव पावर्स में. ओके, द लोकसभा एंड राज्यसभा हैज पावर टू मेक द लॉज, ऑर्डिनरी लॉज, एंड व्हिच विल बी पास्ड बाय द सिंपल मेजॉरिटी. दैट इज द लेजिस्लेटिव पावर. The parliament has also power to pass money bill, but which is particularly passed by Lok Sabha. That is also the legislative power of parliament. Parliament also has the power to legislate in the matters of state list in exceptional situation. फॉर एग्जाम्पल नेशनल इमरजेंसी, स्टेट इमरजेंसी, उस टाइम में पार्लियामेंट लॉ बना सकता है विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू द स्टेट लिस्ट. दैट इज आल्सो द लेजिस्लेटिव पावर ऑफ द पार्लियामेंट, राइट. देन पार्लियामेंट कैन इवन लेजिस्लेट फॉर इंक्रीजिंग द टेन्योर ऑफ लोकसभा एंड द विधानसभा ड्यूरिंग नेशनल इमरजेंसी. देखिए 1 साल का टेन्योर बढ़ाया जा सकता है. दैट इज आल्सो द लेजिस्लेटिव पावर्स. पार्लियामेंट बाय लेजिस्लेशन कैन क्रिएट द लेजिस्लेटिव काउंसिल एंड कैन अबॉलिश द लेजिस्लेटिव काउंसिल. Parliament through legislation can even create the new states, okay, by bifurcating any other state, or can change the boundaries of the state. So multiple powers you were able to write here. कितने सारे लेजिस्लेटिव पावर्स हमें पता है पार्लियामेंट की. ये सारी लेजिस्लेटिव पावर्स ऑफ पार्लियामेंट की लिखा जा सकता था. 6-7 पॉइंट लिख देते थे, इनफ था. ओके, एंड देन सीधा तुम कंक्लूजन लिख देते यहां पे. Okay, so you can write that the opposition in the parliament should be given more powers, and the discussions of the parliament should be made more effective with human and technological resource to use the legislative powers of the parliament more effectively. Okay, so ऐसा कोई suggestions देते थे, 1-2 suggestions conclusion में दे देते, वहीं पे खत्म हो जाता था. सिंपल था. इंट्रोडक्शन, कंक्लूजन, बीच में खाली ये पॉइंट्स विच वर द इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट्स इतना लिख देते, तब भी फिनिश. ओके, सिंपल सिंपल. देखो कितनी सिंपल चीजें हैं, और जितना पूछा है उतना ही लिख रहे हैं हम. वी आर नॉट राइटिंग एनीथिंग अननेसेसरीली. दैट इज द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग हियर. जब तुम अननेसेसरी चीजें लिखते हो, जैसे यहाँ पे लेजिस्लेटिव पावर्स ऑफ पार्लियामेंट के बारे में पूछा, अगर तुम इसमें कोई अगर स्टूडेंट्स अगर क्वेश्चन आर, 0R के बारे में लिख रहा है, कॉलिंग अटेंशन मोशन के बारे में लिख रहा है, ऑफ कोर्स यू डोंट हैव टू राइट इट. इफ यू आर राइटिंग अबाउट कलेक्टिव प्रिविलेजेस एंड ऑल दैट, कुछ स्टूडेंट्स होते हैं सब कुछ लिख देते हैं जो पता है, यू विल नॉट गेट मार्क्स. द क्वेश्चन इज स्पेसिफिकली अबाउट लेजिस्लेटिव पावर्स. यू हैव टू स्पेसिफिकली राइट ओनली अबाउट द लेजिस्लेटिव पावर्स, एंड दैट इज एक्सपेक्टेड फ्रॉम. ओके, देन द नेक्स्ट थिंग, मेंशन द इंपॉर्टेंट पावर्स ऑफ स्पीकर ऑफ लोकसभा. सिंपल क्वेश्चन था, सीधे स्पीकर ऑफ लोकसभा के पावर्स लिखनी थी. इससे ज्यादा सिंपल तो अभी क्वेश्चन बनाया भी नहीं जा सकता था. ओके, यू हैव लर्न दिस पार्लियामेंट चैप्टर, यू हैव लर्न द पावर्स ऑफ द स्पीकर ऑफ द लोकसभा, बट ओनली दैट यू हैव टू राइट अबाउट द पावर्स ऑफ स्पीकर ऑफ लोकसभा. और इसका तो एनालाइज भी नहीं बोला, बस इतना बोला है मेंशन. अगर यहीं पे मैं अगर बोलता एनालाइज द इंपॉर्टेंस ऑफ पावर ऑफ द स्पीकर ऑफ द लोकसभा, देन मुझे एनालिसिस भी लिखना पड़ता कि ये पावर है, ये इंपॉर्टेंस है, इसमें ये प्रॉब्लम्स है, ये सॉल्यूशन है, पूरा एनालिसिस. एनालाइज था ही नहीं भाई. मेंशन करो बस, क्या क्या पावर्स पूछे बस उतना लिख के और खत्म करो. ओके, सो इंट्रोडक्शन में तुम लिख सकते हो द स्पीकर ऑफ द लोकसभा हैज बीन गेट सिलेक्टेड फ्रॉम देयर members only. okay, सीधा सीधा लिख सकते हो. okay, the speaker of the Lok Sabha is the most important person, acts as a presiding officer of the Lok Sabha, okay, and has complete power with respect to interpretation of constitution and the rules in the Lok Sabha. ये भी इंट्रोडक्शन लिखा जा सकता था. You can write anything, but make it specific. बस जनरलाइज नहीं लिखना है कि स्पीकर ऑफ द लोक सभा इज मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट पर्सन. ओके, ऐसा नहीं लिखना है. थोड़ा सा उसे अच्छे से करना है कि वो अच्छा लिख रहे हो ना, मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट क्यों है, मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट वो लिख दो. ओके, सो दैट यू कैन राइट इनटू द इंट्रोडक्शन. देन यू विल मेक द हेडिंग्स इंपॉर्टेंट पावर्स ऑफ द स्पीकर ऑफ लोकसभा. यही हेडिंग बनानी है. देन जस्ट स्टार्ट राइटिंग पॉइंट्स, बट पॉइंट्स लिखने हैं अपने पास. इतना सिंपल सिंपल बनाना है. सब 10 मार्कर क्वेश्चन ही है, और 10 मार्कर क्वेश्चन यू जस्ट हैव टू राइट सिंपल सिंपल. ज्यादा लिखना भी नहीं होता है, छोटा छोटा लिखना है बस. So just write down what are the powers he has. He has powers to maintain the discipline and the decorum in the house. We know it. Okay, उसी के पास है powers. He has power to even the suspend the members whenever is required. Suspend कर सकते हैं members को if the member is not following the discipline. He has power to adjourn the house when there is lack of quorum or lack of discipline. Quorum means हमें पता है minimum number of MPs which should be present in the Lok Sabha. कितने होते हैं? 1/10 होते हैं ना total, around 55. Okay, so if there is a lack of quorum, lack of discipline, he can even adjourn the house. He has power to cast the vote in case of tie of vote, casting vote जिसे हम कहते हैं. Okay, कि जब टाई हो जाता है तब कास्टिंग वोट करना है, अदरवाइज नहीं करता है वो. ये भी पावर है स्पीकर के पास. He has power to disqualify the members under anti-defection law. पता है ना हमें anti-defection law. He has that power to disqualify the members. Speaker has the power. Speaker of Lok Sabha has the power to declare the bill as money bill or not. कितने पॉइंट्स लिखे? एक 6 पॉइंट 6-7 पॉइंट लिख देते, बढ़िया आंसर बन जाता. ओके, इतने ही पॉइंट्स लिखने थे, 2-2 3-3 लाइन में बढ़िया पॉइंट्स लिख देते थे, आराम से 6-7 पॉइंट लिख देते थे, पेपर भर जाता था आराम से. एंड देन यू विल राइट द कंक्लूजन. टू इंप्रूव द पावर्स और टू मेक द स्पीकर ऑफ लोक सभा मोर इफेक्टिव, the position of speaker of more effective, we should adopt the British principle of once the speaker, always the speaker. Once the speaker, always the speaker. जस्ट ये इतना लिख देते थे, खत्म होता था. वी नो दैट इंग्लैंड में ये सिस्टम है, वंस द स्पीकर ऑलवेज द स्पीकर वाला सिस्टम, जहां पे वंस द पर्सन बिकेम द स्पीकर, द पर्सन लीव्स हिज मेंबरशिप ऑफ ए पॉलिटिकल पार्टी. Okay, and he gets the assurance that he will get elected as a member of that House of Commons again. His constituency is kept reserved from him for next election, so that he can work independently. Once the speaker, always the speaker वाला system लिख देते कंक्लूजन में, एग्जामिनर भी खुश हो जाएगा कि भाई इतना ब्रिटेन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन वाला पॉइंट कंक्लूजन में लिखा है, बढ़िया मार्क दे देगा. ओके, दैट दोज पॉइंट्स वर एक्सपेक्टेड हियर.